BBC Radio 1.
It's a victory for ordinary people, and the British people spoke.
The answer is we're out.
To take a different path.
Brexit
And as
means
such,
Brexit.
I think the country
And
requires
we're going to make
Brexit
a
leadership
success
to take it.
This is a historic moment.
If you're sick of hearing all this noise, it's time to cut through it and ask, why is there such a fuss around Brexit?
Britain is leaving the European Union.
One of the most Googled questions in early November was, what does Brexit mean? Brexit is the name given to the process of the UK leaving the European Union, a group of 28 countries which trade and work with each other and share some laws. And on the 23rd of June 2016, we had a vote on whether we should stay in it or make our way out. And, well, we voted to leave. We joined the European Economic Community in 1973, the year when this was in the charts. It was basically a deal that allowed everyone in the community to trade cheaply. Now that the EEC's become the EU, some people are worried that it's gone beyond that and the 28 countries have become one giant country. History lesson done. Britain is due to leave the EU on the 29th of March 2019. So how will that affect the really most important key thing? Holidays! Look, who doesn't love a nice cheap flight to a nice little European country? We've all got used to foreign holidays, but will cheap travel and getting through the borders easily without special visa permission disappear? In the short term, probably not. Both the UK and the EU have said that they're not going to stop people going on short holidays. In time, costs could still go up, but the EU has said that it can't see itself bringing back visas. Way!
You look very handsome there.
Thank you.
Freezing.
Yes. Hello? How much? Only sent like one tweet and, I don't know, maybe a phone call. No, I want to speak to your manager. Remember when using your phone abroad used to cost quite a bit? That's called roaming charges. In June 2017, the EU dropped extra charges for using your phone in another EU country. This will still be the case for the next couple of years. However, Theresa May said that we would not be protected from those charges coming back. But just because your phone operator will be allowed to charge you more, doesn't mean it will. Plus, we don't know whether this is an area that both the EU and the UK will negotiate on once we leave. That's cold. But wait, what if you want to live and work abroad? Theresa May has said that free movement will end. Well, if you're already settled in the EU or vice versa before March 2019, then you're all right. But after we officially leave, free movement will end and the future of working and studying abroad will depend on future negotiations between the two. Time for me to change. Was that the only bit for the suit bit? Yeah. Okay. Deal? No deal. Deal? No deal. Deal? No deal. Ugh. Now, the meal deal is arguably the best deal that exists anywhere in the world. But if this was the Brexit deal, for some people, it's about as tasty as it gets. But for others, it's so foul that it's unswallowable. Oh. I've got mayo on my hands. Grim. Remember, a big chunk of the whole Brexit deal is just how the UK will leave the EU, and not all the future stuff. But to sum up what some people don't like about it, they worry that the agreement Theresa May has made with the EU keeps us tied to them for too long, sticking to their rules but not having a say in them anymore. The other option, no deal. It depends how much disaster you want to believe, from collapsing financial systems to house prices falling apart, to not being able to drive in the EU, to not being protected by the EU's data protection laws. Lots of predictions, but others saying actually it won't be that bad and will free us quicker from the EU and let us get on trading with other parts of the world. But is there actually another option? Well, what about a brand new deal? Some people think this is still possible, but not Theresa May and neither do the EU. They say that the first deal is the only deal. Regardless of what happens with any voting in Parliament, there are a few things that people will still be arguing about. The first is the Irish border. Ireland is an island divided between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK. Because of a violent past, few people want to return to a physical border with checkpoints. And this is also where the backstop comes in. The backstop is a last resort plan. So first there's a crossover period. A few years where the UK has left the EU, but we stick to their rules for the time being so we can sort all the future stuff out. If we can't sort that future stuff out, the backstop arrives. Then Northern Ireland continues to stick to a lot of EU rules, the rest of the UK doesn't. For many of those in Northern Ireland who feel British, the UK's then being split up, because they would then be living under different rules to everyone else in Scotland, Wales and England, and rules made up in Brussels, not Britain. The second is immigration. When we leave the EU, people from EU countries will no longer have an automatic right to come and live here. Theresa May says Britain will have a new system that will bring people with the right skills from all over the world, not just the EU. But no one knows for sure when this new system will come in, whether it will work or how long we'll have to stick with EU free movement rules during a switchover time. Lastly, a thing called sovereignty. Britain making its own rules and using its own courts to decide when they've been broken. So what about all the EU laws we already live by? Well, they're already merged into UK law. Over time, governments can decide which bits they want to keep and which bits they want to dump. The EU court, the European Court of Justice, eventually might not have any say here. The fuss? Some people think this is good, others bad. Do I? I wish I did. Look, I know it's confusing. I know it, they know it, and you know what? That's fine. There's a lot people don't know because we haven't actually left yet, so it's new territory. People can predict things, but until things actually start happening, it's hard to know what will happen for sure. So it's bye from me and it's bye to the EU as well. But one thing for certain, this isn't the last time we're going to hear people fussing over Brexit.